Okay.
Good to go.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to this ordinary meeting of council. This meeting is being broadcast via council's website, and I wish everyone who is viewing a very good evening, and I hope you are doing well. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting and the lands where tonight's broadcast reaches. We also pay our respects to their elders and to the elders from other communities who may be in attendance this evening. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. Staff. As we are live streaming this meeting, we have a few housekeeping rules that we'll go through. Thank you, councillors and viewers. Tonight we are streaming an ordinary meeting for the Buloke Shire Council. Throughout the meeting, councillors must be able to see and be seen, hear and be heard. To ensure we are meeting these guidelines, we will need to establish the connection of Councillor Carolyn Stewart, who is attending the meeting virtually. Carolyn, can you see us and hear us in the witchy-proof supper room?
Yes, I can hear and see everyone, and hopefully you can hear and see me.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Carolyn.
Can't hear Karen.
There's something coming out.
Maybe it's just speaking. Yeah.
Is that? We're just trying to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us now, Karen?
I can hear you.
Yeah, she's very quiet. Yeah, she's very low.
Yeah. No, it's all right. Huh?
No, can you, can we test to see if we're trying to hear you, Councillor Stewart?
Yep, can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you, Councillor Stewart. Coming through loud here.
Okay, so I need to yell then. Okay.
Right. Does any councillor in the room have an issue seeing or hearing Councillor Stewart? Thank you. No. If a conflict of interest is declared tonight, the councillors or councillors who have the conflict will be removed from the meeting completely for that item and be reinstated after that item has been dealt with before the meeting can proceed. This includes Councillor Stewart, who will be removed from the Zoom meeting she is attending via. Councillor Stewart will vote on items by showing her hand, making sure that raised hand is within shot. If Councillor Stewart loses connectivity during the meeting will be suspended until connection is restored. If councillors broadcast to the council meeting experiences technical difficulties and drops out, the meeting will be adjourned for 30 minutes to re-establish connection. We're all clear on those procedures, councillors? Thank you. Councillor Pollard?
You sure you're not in here, Councillor Warren? Yeah. The local law allows you to start 30 minutes late. If you're not prepared to wait 2 bloody minutes.
Excuse me, councillor?
The local law allows you to start 30 minutes late. It can be starting the meeting, can be stalled for 30 minutes. If you can't be prepared to wait 2 minutes, what hope have we got?
I take your outburst, Councillor Pollard. The meeting is scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. As chairman of the meeting, I'll start the meeting at 7 o'clock.
Would you like me to leave then?
Councillor Stewart and Councillor Pollard, you're here at the meeting, so we'll continue the meeting. Do we have any apologies for tonight's meeting?
Yeah, me.
Excuse me, Councillor Pollard.
Me.
You're an apology, are you?
Might as well be.
Okay, well, we will make a note of that, Councillor Pollard.
Good.
Confirmation of the previous minutes. The previous minutes have been circulated. Do we have someone to move those minutes and to second those minutes? Councillor Viss to move, Councillor Gatley to second. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. Are there any requests for leave of absence?
Yes, Mr Mayor, 1 to 8 May requested.
Thank you, Councillor Viss. Duly noted. 1 to 8th of May. Thank you. Are there any declarations of pecuniary and conflicts of interest at this stage? Councillor Gatley.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I'll be declaring a conflict of interest in notice of motion 9.1.2, and I'll explain that prior to the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Gatley. There are no questions from the public. Procedural matters. Letters of congratulations and recognition of achievement awards. We have a nomination for a letter to Ray and Lee Parker from Teddy for reaching a significant milestone of their 60th wedding anniversary. Are there any other letters of acknowledgement or consideration at this stage?
No.
Thank you, councillors. Do I have someone to move that? Councillor Simpson. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mill. Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. A report of councillor briefings. The council note the reported Assembly of Council meetings held on the 3rd and 17th of March 2021. Someone to move those? Councillor Gatley. Someone to second? Councillor Simpson. All those in favour? Councillors. Correspondence initiated by council. There is at this stage no correspondence to discuss at this stage, so we'll move along to item 7.4, building permits monthly update. Councillors, the Works and Technical Services area.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, Council can see the usual monthly procedural report of the building permits update for the month of March. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? Thank you. We have a recommendation to note those. Do I have a councillor to move those recommendations? Councillor Mill, councillor second, councillor Viss, thank you. Anyone opposed? No, thank you, councillors. That's so moved. Planning applications received, Works and Technical Services.
Thanks again, Mr Mayor. Again, a procedural report. Councillors can see some good activity in the planning space through the previous month. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? Comment? No. Do I have someone then to move those recommendations? Councillor Gatley, a seconder. Councillor Viss, thank you. Those, anyone opposed? That's carried. Thank you, councillors. Policy reports, council gift policy. Director of Corporate Services. Thank you.
Through the Mayor, Council is required to adopt a council gift policy by the 24th of April under the Local Government Act 2020. The policy makes provision for the maintenance of the gift register and any matters required by the regulations, which includes minimum value of gifts which must be disclosed. A copy of the proposed policy has been attached to the report, which recommends that Council adopt the council gift policy.
Thank you, Mrs. Hugh. Councillors, are there any questions at this stage? No. We have a recommendation and a policy to adopt it, that council adopt the council gift policy. Do I have a mover for that adoption, please?
Yep.
Councillor Viss, thank you. A seconder? Councillor Stewart, thank you. Any councillor opposed to the adoption of the policy? No, thank you, councillors. That policy is adopted. Thank you. Management reports. Wycheproof Golf Club lease. Thank you, Mr. O'Toole.
Thank you, Mayor. The current 21-year lease for the Wyche Golf Club expires at the end of this month, 30th of April. In accordance with requirements, we are now recommending that the CEO commence negotiations with the Wycheproof Golf Club to establish a new lease for 21 years. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. O'Toole. Are there any questions at this stage, Mr. O'Toole? No, councillors, thank you. So we have a recommendation that council authorise the Chief Executive Officer to negotiate a lease with the Witchy Golf Club Incorporated for the operation and management for part of the Witchy Recreation Reserve, being allotments of 52A, Section A, Parish of Bungungle, and allotment 9, Section A, Township of Witchy. 2, authorise the Chief Executive Officer to provide public notice of council's proposed lease with the Witchy Golf Club Incorporated for the operation and management of part of the Witchy Recreation Reserve, being allotments 52A, Section A, Parish of Bungungle, and allotment 9, Section A of the Township of Witchy. Do I have a council to move this recommendation?
Excuse me, Darryl. Graham did have his hand up before when you asked questions.
That's all right. I'm
Sorry.
No, that's all right. I was prepared to let it go. But the question was, will this lease be flexible enough to take into consideration anything that may come out of the planning session, the major, what am I trying to say? Master plan that may come into effect after this lease is let.
Thank you, Councillor, for the question, and through you, Mr Mayor. Indeed, yes, there will be some inbuilt flexibility for us to be able to continue discussions with all users of that facility to ensure that their wishes are taken into consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. And the parish of Bungaluk.
Bungaluk, thank you for the correct pronunciation, Councillor. I've read the recommendation. Do I have a councillor to move that recommendation, please?
Do we have to not read the recommendation?
I said I've read it.
Oh, okay.
So I have a councillor to move it. Councillor Getler, thank you. A seconder?
Yeah, just second.
Councillor Mill, thank you. Are there any councillors opposed to the recommendation? No, that recommendation is then carried. Thank you. Community grants and sponsorship. Community development department.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And through you, that we present the report. We've had one application in the last month for the Sustainability Fund, and the recommendation comes to you as part of this report for the supply and installation of solar panels in the Nairn Daly Community Hall. The request for the amount of the grant under the Sustainability Fund is $6,956 to a total project cost of $13,192, and it comes to council for their consideration.
Thank you, Mrs. Harris. Councillors, any questions at this stage?
Just a comment, if I may, Mr. Mayor.
Certainly, Councillor.
I think this is great for the Nairn Daly community. They don't ask for much. And I think that this will really help them to better utilise that building, so that it's a building that will be guaranteed into the future. So.
Councillor Getler.
Mrs. Harris, could you clarify, is it the hotel or the hall?
The community hotel.
Community hotel, sorry, just for clarification, you did actually say hall, and I was just...
Oh, did I? Sorry.
Oh, no, that's all right.
Hotel.
Thank you.
Any other questions, councillors, at this stage? No. Thank you. Councillors, we have a recommendation that council allocates the following funding under the Community Grants and Sponsorship Program, $6,956 sustainability grant to the Nairn Daly Community Hotel. Do I have a councillor to move that recommendation? Councillor Viss, thank you. To move. Councillor Getler to second. Are there any councillors opposed to this recommendation? Thank you, councillors. That's been passed. Thank you. 8.2.3, the transfer station upgrade funding application.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you, Council has had the opportunity to apply for some funding via the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning for some upgrades to our transfer stations. Accordingly, Council has made a subsequent application which requires no financial contribution from Council. So this report is to ask for councillors to note that that submission has been made, Mr Mayor, and that a further report will be brought to Council to outline how Council will undertake an efficient and cost-effective glass collection process across the municipality in the future.
Mr O'Toole. Councillors, any questions at this stage? No. Thank you. Council, we have a recommendation that Council notes the submission of an application under the DELP transfer station upgrade for infrastructure to be constructed at all council landfills, at transfer stations and at Birchip, Donald and Sea Lake depots for the purpose of diverting glass from landfill as part of the state government circular economy for $341,231, and that a report be brought to a future council meeting outlining options on how council will undertake an efficient and cost-effective glass collection process across the municipality. Do I have a councillor to move that recommendation?
Happy to move that, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Mill to move that. I have a seconder, please. Councillor Stewart, thank you, Councillor Stewart. Do I have any councillors opposed to that recommendation? That recommendation is passed. Thank you, councillors. 8.3, financial reports, draft audit and risk committee meeting minutes, the 10th of February 2021. This is you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and through you. I'm pleased to present the meeting minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 10th of February. Matters considered by the committee included consideration of a strategic internal audit plan for the forthcoming 3 years, draft scope for the internal audit into the data management plan, and business continuity management. We present the meeting minutes to council for your information.
Thank you, Mrs. Hugh. Any questions, councillors? Councillors, we do have a recommendation that council notes the draft minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee meeting held on the 10th of February 2021. Do I have a councillor to move those minutes? Councillor Getley to move. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah,
Councillor Mill to second.
Yeah.
Any councillors opposed? That's carried. Councillors, my sticky notes have got out of order, and I omitted to 8.24, which is the Wimmera Southern Mallee Housing Study. This comes from the Office of the CEO, so an acting will do.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll do my best. Throughout 2000, so last calendar year, Council partnered with a number of regional councils to look at the challenges and opportunities as they relate to housing and the diversity that perhaps we would be looking more for throughout our municipality. Accordingly, a document and a report has been prepared, so there is a recommendation before the councillors, Mr Mayor, in relation to that report.
Thank you, Mr Atchell. Councillors, any questions of Mr Atchell at this stage, or any comment? Councillor Mill.
Through you, Mr Mayor, just a comment that very important study as it's as we're coming to find out that housing is at a premium within our area and other areas in close proximity to us. So an outcome that allows for more quality housing and available rentals would certainly be something that I think the Buloke Shire would welcome with open arms, and any opportunity that might come out of this for us to be able to increase our housing stock and then as a result increase the rental availability would be something that would be well worth our while.
Thanks, Councillor Mill. Any other councillors have anything to add? Thank you, councillors. So we have a recommendation. The council endorse the Wimmera Southern Mallee Housing Study, to partner with the Housing Subcommittee of the Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Committee to develop project proposals and incorporate into the next review of Council's advocacy strategy. And 3, continue to work with Wimmera Development Association and other regional councils on the implementation of the study. Do I have a councillor to move that recommendation?
Yeah, happy to move that, Mr Mayor.
Do I have someone to second that? Councillor Simpson, thank you. Any councillors opposed to that recommendation? Thank you, that's passed. Thank you, councillors. Hopefully we'll be back on track on the order of things. We've done that. So we're at the 8.3.2 financial performance report as of the 28th of February. This is you.
Thank you. Through the Mayor, I'm pleased to present to the Council this evening the financial statements as at the 28th of February 2021. Councils will note there's an increased surplus to $7 million due to the recent receipt of the rural annual rate instalments. and cash at bank is reported at $26 million. The year-end result remains consistent with the full year forecast. Councillors will note previous report $2 million less in capital grants funding due to the timing of the construction milestones.
Thank you, Mrs. Hugh. Any questions, councillors? No? So I have a recommendation that council receives and notes the financial performance report for the month ending 28th of February 2021. Do I have a councillor to move that recommendation? Councillor Getley, thank you to move. So do I have a seconder? Councillor Stewart, thank you. I lost your hand. Are there any councillors opposed? Thank you, that's carried, councillors. Organisational reports, we don't have any. Reports from councillors, 8.5. Councillors, I'll go around the room, starting with Councillor Simpson.
No, I have nothing to report other than attending the councillor meetings and briefings.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, fairly quiet in the front of delegations. There has been a meeting of Buloke Tourism Board and the CEO, the executive of the Buloke Tourism Board and the CEO, for some discussion which is ongoing and has been quite productive with just where the CEO sees the Buloke Tourism Board sitting. We've also had a Wimmera Valley Tourism Board meeting, which was via Zoom, and that there's another one of those next week, which is in Edenhope. Other than that, they've certainly been hall triennial meetings and other local events that I've attended, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Miller. Councillor Stewart, up on the big screen.
Hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yep, excellent. One thing I do want to highlight is the Rainbow Ready Roadmap sessions that I've attended. Another one's to be held this Friday. The focus has been on looking at opportunities to develop actions towards further LGBTIQ inclusion, and the focus has been on local government and how we can assist, and also engaging local LGBTIQ people, and also how to create safe spaces and supportive communities as well. So we've got a fourth session that's coming up. So the Rural Rainbow's LGBTIQ Inclusive Action Plan will hopefully be developed out of that, and it's likely to be held at the Witchy Town Hall. So hopefully we can have a few more people attend that. And as I said, there's lots of opportunities for us to develop some really great actions out of that. Everyone deserves to feel like they're a part of a community and feel safe and included and welcome in their community. So hopefully we'll have some really good outcomes out of that workshop. And that's all I've got to report. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Stewart. Councillor Pollard.
There's an apology.
Okay. Councillor Viss.
Nothing to report other than briefings and meetings.
Councillor Getley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Attended the Kalgoa Progress Association meeting, development statement they call themselves, and two side meetings with them with the dump point and the removal of the water tower. Nullarbor Progress Association meeting, attended that, the community climate forum here. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Getley. I'll table my meeting agenda in the normal course of business. Thank you. Matters which may exclude the public. There are no matters which may exclude the public at this stage. 9, other business. 9.1, notices of motion. We have at 9.1.1, safety upgrades for grade rail crossing Wharf Charlton Road. This comes from the office of the CEO, and the author's title is Councillor Pollard. Councillor Pollard, as I believe, is an apology for this meeting. So we do have a recommendation that Council write to the Minister for Transport Infrastructure, the Honourable Jacinta Allen, and the Minister for Roads and Road Safety, the Honourable Ben Carroll, to request safety upgrades to the at-grade rail crossing on the Port Charlton Road, and 2, to send copies of the letter to the local MP, Ms Louise Staley, and the Chief Regional Roads Officer, Regional Roads Victoria, Mr Paul Northey. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Kempley.
No question, Mr Mayor, but just a comment. Today I had a look in a truck at the rail crossing, and do have some photos that I can send through there. Yeah, obviously in a prime mover, the visibility is very, very poor, and there could be a safety hazard there. So this is a good motion.
Thank you. Any other comment, councillors? Councillors, we have a motion and recommendation that we write to the Minister for Transport and Infrastructure. The Honourable Jacinta Allen and the Minister for Roads and Road Safety, the Honourable Ben Carroll, request safety upgrades to the grade rail crossing of the Port Charlton Road, and send copies of the letter to local MP Ms Louise Staley and the Chief Regional Roads Officer, Regional Roads Victoria, Mr Paul Northey. Do I have a councillor to move that motion? Councillor Gethey to move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor List. Any councillors to oppose? Thank you. That's passed, councillors. Councillors, we have 9.1.2, the Charlton Fire Brigade Facility Site. This comes from the Office of the CEO, and the author's title is Councillor Pollard. We do have a motion before us, councillors. Yeah, Councillor Gethey.
Yeah, just thank you, Mr Mayor. Just to explain that I do have a conflict of interest in this. Gatley & Sons Real Estate do provide consulting and real estate services to the CFA, and in particular, the parcel of land that is mentioned in this motion, we have done the services for the CFA and received payment for, Mr Mayor. So therefore, I would declare a conflict of interest in this motion, and now leave the room.
Thanks, Councillor Gethey. Thank you, councillors. We do have a recommendation that council write to the Acting Minister for Police and Emergency Services, the Honourable Danny Pearson, with a copy to the local state members of Parliament to advocate for the immediate selection and purchase of a preferred site to redevelop the Charlton Fire Brigade headquarters, and for the funding for the construction of this facility. Councillors, maybe staff, is there any comment at this stage? Councillor Milne.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and through you, this I believe has been an issue ongoing now for a number of years, to find a new location for the Charlton Fire Brigade, particularly born out of the several floods that the building has had to go through, along with the rest of the town, and being a organisation that leads in disaster management and that sort of thing, it's unsuitable that their headquarters should be constantly underwater during a flooding event. So I agree with the motion that we need to put some pressure on to speed this process up. It is something that the Charlton community have been looking for, and I certainly endorse the motion that it's now time that we put a bit of pressure on the Minister and that department to make a decision, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Norton. Any other councillors that comment? Thank you. Well, councillors, we do have a recommendation that council write to the Acting Minister for Police and Emergency Services, the Honourable Danny Pearson, with a copy to the local state members of Parliament to advocate for the immediate selection and purchase of a preferred site to redevelop the Charlton Fire Brigade headquarters, and for the funding for the construction of this facility. Do I have a councillor to move this motion? Councillor Stewart to move, thank you. Do I have a second? Councillor Vista second. Is there anyone opposed to the motion? Councillors, this is carried. Thank you. Councillor Vista back. Yes, Councillor Gethey back. Thank you. Councillor, 9.2, questions from councillors. None at this stage, but are there any questions from councillors? Councillor Mill.
Yes, through you, Mr Mayor, and this follows on, actually, quite timely, but some time ago I raised the issue of the access road to the Warmer Fire Station at Moreton Plains, and just wonder whether I think at the time we were going to, and I probably put this question on notice, so that staff can reply when they have an answer, if they don't already. We were going to talk to the CFA and see whether there was any collaboration available, whether they would do the road or whether they would collaborate with us to fix that road. And given that we're coming up to a winter again, I did view that road today, and it is pretty much back to dirt in the places that has been of concern. So I ask, has there been any discussion with the CFA, and if not, will this be a budget consideration?
Councillor, will take that on notice.
Yes, through the Mayor, on notice if we may. Thank you.
Councillors, any other questions at this stage? No, thank you, councillors. Urgent business, I haven't been advised of any urgent business. 9.4, any other business. I do have other business, and this is probably by way of, I suppose, information to the councillors. We're all aware of the recent passing of His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh. A funeral service will be held at 3 p.m. local time, 12 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, on Saturday, the 17th of April 2021, at St George's Chapel, Windsor, United Kingdom, to honour the life of His Royal Highness, the Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. As a mark of mourning and respect, and in accordance with protocol, Council will fly our flags half-mast all day on Saturday, 17th of April 2021, at our Customer Service Centre, our Witchy-proof offices. Council will communicate with the public per our own policy that our 3 flags will be flown at half-mast on Saturday. Council has also registered its message of condolence with the royal family via the family's official website. Here endeth the reading, if you like, councillors. But just to bring up to speed what's happened, there's been a little bit of discussion regarding council services, what would be the appropriate protocol. And I do thank all those councillors that offered to give up their time and join the royal family in celebrating Prince Philip's life at the memorial service in London. So I do thank you for that consideration, councillors. There are no other business, councillors. So I would declare that the meeting closed at 7:33. Thank you, councillors, for your attendance.
I couldn't get my passport in order anyway.
Well, there's only 30 allowed to go, so you have to be pretty high up on the list.